Hello, I'm Kevin Vu. I'm the writer director of Perfect as Cats. And this is my thesis film for NYU to School of the Arts. My film is Perfect as Cats, which is a surreal drama about two sisters named Henriette and Anais. And they have a very close bond, but that bond becomes threatened once a new classmate arrives. And they sort of find their relationship um, breaking apart in really uncanny, unexpected ways. And so it was my thesis film again, and it was my most ambitious film I made yet. I would say it was one of the most stressful experiences I've had, um, but it was also one of the most enjoyable. So I had a really great team of collaborators, and yeah, I couldn't have done it without them. So I'm proud of how the film turned out in the long run. For the idea, I knew that I wanted to tell a film about sisters, so that image was always in my mind. And I want to frame it as a breakup story, and I thought that would be an interesting concept, the breakup story between two sisters who have this strange telepathy, and what would happen if that was threatened. Um, and another thing too that was a big inspiration was the Bauhaus school of early 20th century Germany. So that's, as you see, where a lot of the influences within the school setting derives from. So, which kind of segues into the casting. You know, the dream would have been to make a film in Europe. So I thought about how can we make a film, a European film in America, New York City. Aside from the sisters, pretty much from besides the sisters and Mansion, everyone in that film is European. So I was I made sure to be very selective about who the supporting cast would be. But for the sisters, it was tough because I knew it was important to find sisters who not only felt like they had, a lifelong, rapport, but just could seem like they look like sisters. So I just sort of went through headshots after headshots and video reels and just trusted my intuition, said, oh my God, that's her. That's Henriette. That's Anais. So for them, I just emailed them directly and said, hi, I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but I'm making a film and I think you'd be great for the part. And thankfully, they were very enthusiastic about it. But the two ladies who ended up being cast, they were for the shooting, we shot about 7 days in New York City and New Jersey. For New Jersey, we shot at Princeton University, which is where a lot of the exteriors take place. And thankfully, they were very accommodating towards us. I mean, they let us shoot there for free. The most difficult aspect was definitely the other location in New York City, um, because we had a set time that we could shoot. So I believe we only had maybe about 8 to 10 hours each day, which is not ideal. But that's a lot we had to contend with, is just creative decisions, because sometimes they would just come in and say, sorry, you guys are done. That's not, they would just pull the plug on us. And so that was tough. And so, that was probably my most difficult point about creative decisions, is how can we make compromises? Because, sometimes we only had one take of a certain scene and couldn't go for another one. So yeah, that was a challenge, but I'm glad it worked out in the end. No, I definitely want to create a world that felt timeless or suspended in time. And even the script, I wrote that this could be set in 2009, it could be 1939, it could be Europe, or it could be another dimension. And that's really what I'm always interested in when I make a film, is just world building, something that feels tangible and resembles our own, but just something you could feel is a little slightly off, free. Because I would say, yeah, that'd be amazing, because even I wouldn't let my child go to film school if I had one. So, um, yeah, no, I think Yeah, I feel like an education like that, I think would be amazing. And it doesn't have to be at anyone's, well-being or financial expense necessarily. So that's just me. I'm a very altruistic person. I like to think so. I feel like knowledge, that kind of knowledge would be amazing to share. And honestly, I don't know, and it's just from my experience, but I feel like the best way to make a film now, I learn more from making films on set as opposed to being in the classroom. So I think the best film school is just to tell students, go out and make a film, not necessarily theory. It depends on who you are as an individual, I suppose, but that would be the best type of film school, is just very hands-on learning. Well, I say the most essential thing is I would share a lot. I think knowledge about writing becomes a big part of it because, yeah, I mean, if it's not a great script, it's not going to be necessarily. I mean, because I think what I learned from my experience too is that you see a lot of flaws within a short film from writing. So I would just really stress going back to basics, not worry too much about the technical aspect, but writing, just really engaging us with a wonderful story and characters. So that's definitely one of the big highlights I've learned to embrace from my film school. Well, that's why I think it's also wonderful. There is freedom of expression, which I think is important, and I would encourage anyone to just not compromise. Just trust your instincts and stay true to your voice.
Mm,
And if you feel like you don't necessarily know what that voice is, I think you'll learn over time. But that's what's wonderful about film school is just the training ground and the ability to just fail and make those errors and see what works for you or not. And yeah, because we are now going to be in an industry now where I feel like it's a little bit tougher to have that freedom and not have too many compromises. That field is film school. So yeah, that's what I think a lot of people get out of it.